Hello, and welcome to Drag Race Rejudged, where today I will be talking about Drag Race seasons that completely crashed and burned. Before I get into the video, there's a few things that I want to define. Number 1, what is a crash and burn season? To me, a season that crashes and burns is a season where things start off on a positive note and end up bad. The key part of this definition is that they have to actually start off well, so a season like All Stars 1 that was bad start to finish will not count. Number 2, what are the two types of crash and burn seasons? The first type is a season where there was a fundamental issue from the start, but the early episodes were good enough to look past it. For example, season 14's non-eliminations. Most fans were not particularly mad about the fake-out premiere and Daytona wins, but by the time only one queen was eliminated in all of March, most people were understandably angry. The second type is a season that was working well at the start, but at a clear point where things went wrong. For example, Manila's elimination on All Stars 4. While in that particular moment it made for amazing TV, production scrambling to try and fix their plan with Manila out of the picture made for a really weak final 2 episodes of the season. Starting us off is All Stars 9, which I would put in the first category. The remix was good, the ball was an amazing execution of a great concept, then Snatch Game was one of the collectively stronger showings in recent Drag Race. The Team Girl Group's makeover and real estate commercials were okay episodes but unique concepts. That said, the season kind of completely plateaued by the roast. I think the lack of negative critiques vaguely worked for the season since it was for charity, but the non-elimination format was a disaster. The reason that no eliminations worked on All Stars 7 was because everyone was a winner and there were very few queens who actually did a bad job in more than like 1 or 2 challenges. Compare that to All Stars 9 and everyone is getting positive critiques, despite the fact that in most episodes of the season there were at least 2 queens who gave a bottom 2 worthy performance and not by default. I think the main issue though, and what made the season get progressively worse and worse over time, is the bad judging. An unfair win on a regular season is not great, but Georges getting a free win in the design challenge isn't going to knock Willow out of the finale. I think the main issue with non-elimination seasons that are point-based combined with bad judging is that the further we get into the season, the more cumulative damage production's riggery has done. Plastique Tiara didn't make it to the end because production had slowly chipped away at her track record for 11 weeks. While at the same time, production arguably had to rig the talent show Frangeria to make up for throwing in too many twist badges and screwing her over. As I mentioned before, I think the main thing that went wrong with this season was just the gradual buildup of and response to its flaws. Moving on to All Stars 8, I feel like I have a better opinion of the season than most fans, but that's not a high bar. Money, Success, Fame, and Glamour was an all-around fun girl group challenge and one of the few I genuinely listened to outside the show. RDR Live was a good concept and I do think this was the strongest iteration of it. Then the ball judging was clearly rigged but not completely unforgivable because the episode was good and the team acting challenge was also pretty good. Then Heidi in Closet completely justifiably quits and the entire season collapses. Drag Race quits are never fun to watch to begin with, and while I absolutely do not blame her for this, Heidi quitting right in the middle of the episode and then production completely ignoring it made for a really negative experience. It also put a very dark cloud over the rest of the season, since Heidi was one of the few queens who was actually able to compete with Jimbo in the comedy challenges. Going forwards after the quit, the vibes were just off and people seemed miserable. Pretty much all conversations of strategy, bonds between the queens, and alliances went out the window. Then piling on, I think it's pretty clear 2 years later that Kahana Montrese very much wanted to quit and production pretty much had to beg her to stay, and we have now gone from a relatively average season with a bit of favoritism to everyone just waiting out Jimbo's victory lap. I think the main cause of the season's collapse is that the queens on the cast realized in the moment that the season was being actively rigged around them. Judging has never been great, but it finally caught up to production here. The next seasons that crashed and burned are kind of a 2-for-1 All Stars 3 and 4. Both seasons fall into the exact same category and causes for the exact same reason, so I'll be combining it. I am not going to come out here and make the claim that either season was flawless from the start, but prior to the second to last challenge, I would say they were going pretty well. A majority of the cast was giving win-worthy performances and it just felt like normal, good Drag Race. Then we had the clear frontrunners go. Looking at All-Stars 3, first and foremost, no winner other than Dela would be truly satisfying for the season. That absolutely does not excuse how bad production fumbled the post-Dela episodes. The entire acting challenge was terrible and predictable. We knew who the top 4 was going to be, and we knew Morgan was going home. I'm not going to go into how bad the finale was again, but the only way they could have handled things worse is if the jury got to pick the winner straight up. Looking at All-Stars 4, regardless of any favoritism she may have received, Manila was the main character of the season and the obvious favorite to win. It is not that Trinity, Mo, Naomi, and Monet were undeserving, but they were not edited in a way that would ever be fully satisfying. A show like Survivor is able to lose frontrunners all the time because they will edit it in a satisfying way. I don't think either one of these seasons did a particularly good job of editing the season to justify a winner other than Dela and Manila, and that is a massive blunder on production's part. Now that we're around the halfway point, I'm going to mention a few seasons that I considered for the list, but ultimately did not feel like they met the qualifications. While season 3 definitely started off on a higher note than it ended, the end of the season was still entertaining, so it was never bad enough to qualify. I just finished rewatching All-Stars 5, and while there is a clear decline in quality, I don't think it started off strong enough to justify crashing and burning. The talent show was generic and rigged against Mariah, the girl group challenge was fun, but outside of that, I don't think it started strong. For season 11, I don't think it was ever good enough to have crashed. Then finally, for UK vs. the World, while the end of the season was an absolute disaster, outside of a few challenge performances, I don't think it started off particularly strong to begin with. Going back to the actual crash and burn seasons, next is Global All-Stars. To be blunt, I don't remember this season. My mind is completely blank, and it has been blank on the 2 days that I've been writing this script over. I remember the talent shows, and I remember Alyssa and Queen Kong lip-syncing to Only Girl. That is it. Having watched back a few parts of the season for this video, here's what I got. The talent show was great, and so were the lip syncs. Then I moved, didn't get to watch the show for 2 weeks, and then came back to a nuclear wasteland. Then for the elimination portion of the season, number 1, Kitty Scott-Claus should have gone home first, and her progressively getting saved and pushed as a frontrunner made the season worse and worse as time went on. Nehelenia deserved better, and her mistreatment by the other queens in production made the season progressively worse. Alyssa and Queen Kong were not quite as favored as Kitty was, but once again, the favoritism of all 3 of them kept building and building as the season went on. Here's the thing. I fully understand wanting to crown Alyssa and making seasons specifically to crown specific queens, but that's what Versus the World seasons are for. This was the first truly global season of Drag Race, and that is not really the time to force a win. Moving on, I will say it, people will disagree with me, but I will say it, the first 4 episodes of season 13 were genuinely good. While the pork chop twist was mean-spirited, it gave me something to watch and then rewatch when I had COVID, so I have mildly rose-colored glasses on. Most of the issues with it don't actually come from the episode, they come from the execution of it later on. Congratulations was good, Phenomenon was great, RuPaul Mark was a genuinely funny acting challenge as far as Drag Race goes, and then the ball episode was also pretty good right up until the results were announced. If I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times, the key issue with the season was that production spent 15 episodes patting themselves on the back for picking the right queens to be winners, and then the ball challenge going into the disco-mentary was the point of no return. Since the season aired, there's been a lot of rewriting of history about people's runs on the season, but following the ball challenge, Candy Muse was insanely favored, Gottmik was insanely favored, Olivia Lux was slightly favored, and then Denali, Utica, and Tamisha were all robbed. I think every part of the season went completely off the rails after this specific 2-episode arc. If this season wasn't a crash and burn, I don't know what is. Cut to the comment section, and it's literally just gonna be everyone calling me out for being dead wrong on all of these. Finishing off the list is Season 14. As far as recent seasons go, I don't think Season 14 is terrible. My rose-colored glasses might fully be on here, but I think the first half of the season was all around pretty good. The talent show was good, the split ball was good, the Super Cheese and Save a Queen infomercials were good, everything up until the design challenge was going great, and then outside of Georges' win, Daytona Wins was also pretty solid TV. Then things just completely go off a cliff for for no reason. With most examples on this list, it's either production taking a risk or fully out of their hands like All Stars 3. With season 14, I feel like some intern just bumped into the make bad TV button and just moved on with their day and didn't tell anyone. Carrie's elimination was a bit questionable. I think the Jasmine Georges double save was deserved. With Snatch Game, not only did we not get an elimination, we also didn't get to watch Deja lip sync to Levitating, which would have been a fun moment at the end of a really bad episode. Jasmine's elimination was questionable, but I generally understand it. Next was Bosco getting saved by the chocolate bar. This twist was bad from the start. There is no way it wasn't rigged. There is no way it shouldn't have been rigged, and if it was rigged, why not just give, like, a Ben de la Creme, I'm not ready to see you go yet, double save, instead of wasting everyone's time by showing people get their dreams crushed and opening candy. Then finally, the double elimination going into the double save was just stupid. There's no word I can use to describe it other than stupid. This was just really, really stupid. I'm at a loss. Since I want to end this video out on a slightly higher note, I'm going to lay out exactly what production should have done to fix the season. Instead of being the Snatch Game, episode 10 is a non-elimination Lollapalooza SmackDown with a top 2 and no eliminations. Having 2 non-eliminations in a row is not great, but bear with me. Episode 11 is the Snatch Game and Jasmine goes home. Episode 12 is the Rusical and Bosco gets Shock eliminated. Episode 13 is the roast with Georgia/Deja going home, and then episode 14 is the other of Georgia/Deja going home on the remix. This season flows a lot better. I hate to see Bosco not in the finale, but she gets to come back for All Stars 10, and everyone lives happily ever after.
Do you want non-Emmy nominated gay shit? Well then you should check out the RuPaul's Drag Race Rejudged YouTube channel and hit subscribe.